conclusively proven how the shadow government operates, the national security directives, the John Warner Defense Authorization Act, the torture, the black sites. It's just all covered. The proof. People want to know about the shadow government, how the New World Order takeover is taking place, how they're federalizing police, the G20 attacks on peaceful citizens, the snatch and grabs, the globalists trying to set up my crew. It's an amazing documentary film, 2 hours and 20-plus minutes long, and that's not counting all the extras. It's over 3 hours with all the extras. Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. Both films are $19.95. You get both of them, get a big discount, Infowars.com. And your purchase of the DVDs makes this radio show possible. These will both be powerful tools in the InfoWar. Infowars.com or 888-253-3139. You can also write to us at P.O. Box 19549, Austin, Texas 78760. Okay, going back to Wayne Madsen. Wayne, I really respect your analysis because I've been following you for more than a decade. A decade ago, I didn't know what to think. I mean, a lot of your stuff turned out to be true. Other parts of it I couldn't confirm till years later when I really got even more respect for you. And I can't think of when I've seen you be wrong. Because knowledge takes decades to gain. It isn't just having a decent brain or doing research. You've got to learn who to trust. You've got to learn who's accurate. You've got to learn who has a unique perspective on things that's revealing. And I didn't know today when I said, what's new, what's important, what's big. We don't do pre-interviews. You bring up WikiLeaks. I mean, I've tried to support them when they've been under attack. I've seen them blocked in different nations. I don't think the people that I know from there that I've talked to over the years are bad, but I do agree that they can be fed things that the establishment wants to be out. That can happen to any journalist or group, and I think the Army manuals they've put out about false flag terror, the CIA manuals about how they're going to lie to the public, and that came out just last week, and how they count on our apathy. I mean, I read that CIA document, which they admit is real, that the CIA is angry, and that was over a year old. We saw those talking points used in our media. So when you say that you've seen some places where you think it's being used to go after globalist enemies, I tend to think that's going to be done with any journalistic endeavor. Well, I mean, go further. Specifically, do you think it's totally run by Anglo-American interest, or are you saying it's being used? Or, I mean, because I see it do so much good.
I think it's used. I mean, it's also important to point out that some of the exposés that they've had, that information was already basically available in open source. So, but the thing with Iceland and their attempt to move into this information mecca has a lot to do with George Soros shorting the Icelandic krona, which led, of course, to the banking collapse in that country.
So you're saying they want a base to selectively get around privacy laws and leak info?
Right, and also use it to blackmail people and extort money and hurt competitors. And basically,
well, we know the New York Post page 6. We know the New York Post page 6 has been caught doing that. Is there any evidence WikiLeaks is doing that?
Well, certainly, what we're seeing is this sort of a confluence between WikiLeaks and the person who I think represents the major gatekeeper of the left is George Soros. I think his counterpart on the right is Rupert Murdoch. I think these guys, when they get together, must slap each other on the knee and just laugh about how they've got, the population of the world corralled into these two camps, and they're controlling all these media outlets. But certainly George Soros throws a lot of his billions around to control the message. There's links between his Open Society Institute and WikiLeaks, and this is all under the guise of do-gooder type operations, where freedom of information, freedom of the press. But when you peel back that onion, you find something that stinks pretty much like an onion.
Well, I respect your opinion, and we'll certainly see more of that come out. In fact, you mentioned that the head of Cryptome.org, that I respect, that he left WikiLeaks a few years ago and says it is an operation.
Yeah, John Young, who actually has published first-time information on Cryptome.org. I know John, and he says, if he gets it, it gets published. And he's been harassed an awful lot. I mean, they canceled his internet service with his server, and John Young left in 2007 the board of WikiLeaks and charged it was a CIA front.
Well, let's hope that's not the case and they're just being used at certain levels. But what do you do as a journalist? Because I think about that when state police send me the MIAC report and then someone saying they were a federal marshal sent me the Homeland Security report. I mean, morally, I had a responsibility to put that out. I called the FBI. I called MIAC. I confirmed it was real. They got mad when they found out I had it, because you can catch these guys off guard and they'll tell the truth. When you read the code number out, I mean, then you start getting paranoid, thinking, was I fed that? Why would they want that out? Why would it just gets? I guess that's what Cloak and Dagger is it just turns into a labyrinth.
Right, and I basically do a triage. There's information I get which I look at the source, what it is. I say, well, this is good. This is a keeper. Then there's stuff that, frankly, at first glance, it's totally out there where the buses don't run. I immediately discount that. That's a dead, that's basically a dead issue. And then there's, the in between. You're not really sure. You'll take a look at it, and that kind of goes into the sort of let's see where this one goes, the sort of the pending file. So it's a triage situation. I've been snookered in the past on some things, but I think it's all based on your sources and if you trust them and you know who they're basically tied up with, so you can spot a red herring the minute you see one.
Absolutely. Almost all the info I've been given turned out to be accurate. The clergy response teams, government documents on the Pentagon surveilling yours truly. I want to get into Russia with you and the situation over there, Wayne. We really appreciate your time. But separately, you may not be aware of it, but Fox News in 2 articles in the last 2 days is basically implying I'm a terrorist in their terror section. The Southern Poverty Law Center is saying I'm calling for violence basically when I'm not. They're really coming after me right now. Why do you think London Guardian, Time Magazine, you name it, right now are specifically singling Alex Jones out and lying and saying that I'm promoting violence? What do you think that's about?
Well, I think it's part of this whole thing where we were talking about WikiLeaks. We're in a new phase of warfare. It's called information warfare, information operations, using information against people. And in the case of Fox News, I mean, I used to go on Fox quite a bit, and then I caught them, and not only me, but some other people that appeared on Fox where they took the image, the still image, which they used on their website, and they distorted the image. They made some people have yellow teeth when they didn't. They took my face and expanded it out to where it was totally distorted, and of course they run those photos, and then people use it as a sort of like to make fun of you. And this is what Fox has been caught doing before. Fox isn't a news organization; they're a propaganda outfit, and Rupert Murdoch knows full well what he's running over there, and so does Roger Ailes. I don't even say Fox is an annex of the Republican Party, because the minute the Republicans serve their interests, they're going to toss them aside. Fox serves, I think, as the major controller and corraller of people on the right, as I mentioned earlier. George Soros represents on the left, and of course there's those in between. You've got the New York Times, and you've got of course Murdoch has his newspapers in London, the Times of London, and
he has the Wall Street Journal. But that's what I'm asking you. Why do you think they're now branding Alex Jones as someone calling for violence? Are they angry that I'm telling all my listeners not to be violent? Because it looks like right now they're trying to create the perception that there's about to be this grassroots violence so they can clamp down on parts of the Tea Party they don't control.
They're trying to eliminate the competition, I think. The fact is there's now news sources available over the web and through YouTube and whatnot that is hurting their bottom line, and they like nothing more than to eliminate that type of competition, and they'll use any sort of entree to do that. Say somebody's a terrorist, that then people might be worried about.
Yeah, I forgot to add that they called Homeland Security on me. That's in the article.
Well, I think there's a lot of symbiosis between Fox News and agencies of the government. Look how they've been leaked propaganda. They've hyped things up. That it was Fox that helped us get in this disaster in Iraq, and now they're hyping up Afghanistan.
And now they're pushing white Al-Qaeda.
Right, exactly.
All right, stay there. Let's get into Russia when we come back. WayneMadsenReport.com is his excellent website. Our sites are Infowars.com.